Welcome back, everybody. So now that we have learned all of the content we need to know, I'm now going to show you how you're going to complete the baby project. So the very first step is you're going to make sure that you have both your mom packet and the dad packet. So here's an example of what they look like. This is only the first page, so you should have a total of 23 chromosomes on each page. So make sure you have both of these packets. Okay, so for the next step, you're going to need a coin. You can use any coin. We used pennies in class. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to flip the coins and decide what trait is going to be passed down. So you'll flip the coin for each chromosome on the mom packet. And if you get heads, you will circle the box that says heads. And if you get tails, you will circle the box that says tails. And you're going to do this for each of the 23 chromosomes. So go ahead and just start with the mom packet, and then you can move on to the dad packet, and you'll do the exact same thing. So if you're a little bit confused, I'm going to go ahead and show you an example on the next slide. Okay, so for example, let's say I flipped my coin and I flipped heads. So then you're going to go ahead and look on your box, and you see right here, this one says heads, and then this one says tails. So since I flipped heads, I'm going to go ahead and circle the entire box of the one that I chose, and then go ahead and cross out the one that I didn't, just so I know exactly which one that I chose. So you're going to continue to do this for every single chromosome in the mom packet, and then every single chromosome in the dad packet. And I will show you in the next slide what your packet will look like once you are finished. Okay, so this is what your packet should look like. Every single chromosome, 1 through 23, should look something like this. So make sure you made some type of a mark. You should circle the one that you flipped. So you're probably wondering, why are we flipping coins? Why does it matter which trait gets passed on? So let's just make this a little easier to understand. So let's say your mom carries two versions of the same gene. We're going to go with the gene eye color. So your mom carries both the gene for blue eyes and the gene for brown eyes. And then your dad carries the gene for brown eyes and green eyes. So it doesn't matter what color eyes your parents actually has, it matters what genes they're carrying, what trait. So they have both blue and brown. So it's totally a random process, which one is going to be passed down to you. Just like when we flip a coin, it's random. So your mom could either pass down her blue eye gene or her brown eye gene, and then your dad could pass down his brown eye gene or green eye gene. So it's totally random, just like when we flip a coin. So for the next step, you're going to make sure that you have this paper. This is where we're actually going to make our baby. So make sure you have this paper. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just do this first one together so you can see how it's done. So we're going to start with chromosome 1. So remember, this is the one we chose for mom, and this is the one that we chose for dad. But if you notice, we carry two traits on chromosome 1. We carry for left-handed or for right-handed, and then we also carry whether or not we're going to have dimples. So go ahead in your box, I want you to write chromosome 1 and chromosome 1, because we need to do it for both of these traits. So let's just go ahead and start with the first trait that we see. So it's going to be this one and this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to write the allele from mom. We see it right here. That's going to be a little r. The allele from dad, right here, that's going to be a big R. So the combined genotype, remember that's the two-letter code. We have big R, little r. And then you can just circle if this is homo or heterozygous. So because they are different size letters, they are heterozygous. So now you determine what is the phenotype. Remember, phenotype is a physical characteristic. So we have little r means left-handed, big R means right-handed. We know that big R is going to be the one that dominates, so our baby will be right-handed. So now we have to write what's the pattern of inheritance, or what rule did you follow? So we know whenever we see capital versus lowercase, this is Mendelian. All right, so our first trait is done. So now let's go ahead and move on to the second trait. So we see a big D right here for dimples for the mom, and also a big D right here, dimples for dad. So mom was big D, dad also was big D. Combined genotype, big D, big D. They are the same size, so that means homozygous. The phenotype will be that our baby will have dimples. And the rule we followed was Mendelian. Alright, so you can go ahead and give chromosome number 2 a try. So remember that you are looking at your packet, what you had circled when you flipped the coins. But if you need some help, go ahead and pause this video and try it on your own, and then play it, and you can look at mine for an example. Okay, so here's what mine looked like. So our first trait on chromosome 2 was right here for straight hair and curly hair. So I went ahead and filled out the mom allele and the dad allele, combined their genotype. It is heterozygous because the superscripts are different. So that means it will have wavy hair, what's in the middle of straight and curly, and the rule is incomplete dominance. Chromosome 2 we had right here, we had big L birthmark on upper lip, big L birthmark on upper lip. It is homozygous. They will have a birthmark on their upper lip. And we are okay if you put Mendelian or codominance. We will accept either one. So if you haven't already, go ahead and do this for all of the chromosomes in your 2 packets. So once you get to chromosome number 23, those are your sex chromosomes. So that's when you're going to decide if the one you circled for mom, obviously both of them are X for mom, and then the dad is the one that decides what sex your baby's going to have. So if you circled the X and an X, so X from mom, X from dad, that means your baby is a girl. If you circled X for mom and Y for dad, that means your baby will be a boy. So when you go through and do the traits that are on those sex-linked genes, they will be exactly the same thing that you have been doing if it's a girl, but it'll be a little bit different if it's a boy. So if you have a boy, basically each trait is going to be expressed individually. So you're not going to have that allele from mom and allele from dad. You'll just have the X alleles and then the Y alleles expressed individually. So if you remember in the last video, I said we're going to go over polygenic traits a little bit more once we actually do the project. So that's what we're going to do right now. So if you see, we have our height gene, our skin color gene, and our weight loss gene. So these are determined by multiple different genes. So we have to figure out if our baby's going to be tall, if they're going to be light or dark skin, or if they're going to be thin or large. So let's just go ahead and start with our height gene. So what we need to do is we need to flip through our packet, and we need to look for the traits that have both a letter and a number next to them. So they look like this. So this one's H1 or H2. So we're going to flip through our chromosomes, our mom packet, and we need to find if we have the H1 or H2. And then we're also going to do the same for the dad, and we're going to write the phenotype up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you an example of what I'm talking about. Alright, so for an example, these are the ones that I circled. So we are going to look at the H1 gene right here, and then we also circled H1 for dad. So in that slot, we're going to write short, and then also short for dad. So you're going to go through and flip and find these for every single one. So let's go ahead and add these into our chart. Alright, so let's go ahead and add. So we had H1 for mom, so that means it was short. So go ahead and just write short. And then we also had H1 for dad, and that meant short as well. So then you're going to go ahead and do the rest, flip through your packet and find out if it means short or tall. I'm going to go ahead and do mine, and then we will continue from there. So go ahead and pause the video. So I went ahead and finished mine, and now we have to count the total number of talls we got. So I have 1, 2, 3, so I'm going to write 3 right here. So now we have to figure out what's the actual phenotype of our baby. So if we take a look at this little key that's right down here, 0 to 2 number of talls means short. I have 3, so that doesn't fit me. Then 3 to 4 number of talls means medium. So I have 3, so that means my phenotype will be medium. If you got 5 to 6 talls, then that means your baby will be tall. So then you would write tall in that section. So now you're just going to go do the same thing for skin color and for weight. You're just going to flip through both your packets, find S1 or S2, S1, S2 right here. So you're going to find these in your packets. And then you're also going to do these as well for every single one. So I'm going to go ahead and do mine. Make sure you're following along in your packet. Alright, so this is what I got. So my baby will have, because it had a number 3, that means tan, so it will have tan colored skin. I had 4 larges, so when you have 4 larges, that means obese, so my baby will be obese. So once you're all finished, you can get this paper from us. And it's time to draw your baby. So you're basically just going to draw all the characteristics you have gotten from your baby. So whether they have curly hair, wavy hair, any physical characteristics are going to be drawn right here on your baby. You also have to come up with the name for your baby. And then here at the bottom you see it says non-visible traits or diseases. So we threw in a few of those. So this is if your baby has hemophilia, or if they have halitosis, which is bad breath. You can just go ahead and list those non-visible traits at the bottom. On the back of that paper, you have a trait organizer. So basically what you're going to do is you're just going to look at all the traits your baby has and list them into each of these boxes. So for an example, let's say my baby had wavy hair, so I'm going to write wavy right here. Let's say my baby had blue eyes, I'll write the color blue right here. So you're just going to go through and see any traits that fall into these categories, just go ahead and write them in each of the boxes. Including your non-visible traits, you can go ahead and write them right there as well. So once you're done filling out this section, you are basically done with the baby project. So if you have any questions, go ahead and just refer back to this video or ask Miss Wang or myself, and we will help you out.